We're back at you with gloves off, and we have today we have Lacho.
What's up, Paul? ¿Cómo estás?
Good. We're going to talk about his campaign. He made it to the runoff, so we're going to have to be doing this all over again. And what his experience was, what he's doing. Let's just find out. Well, congratulations, number one.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for inviting me and Sergio. Appreciate it. Well, we made it to the runoff. There was rumors left and right what was going to happen, and I guess it ended up happening. We did put in a lot of work, as we were talking earlier and talking to a lot of people. We were very visible above several of the candidates in our race and in the races overall, right? So the marketing's been helping. The name, the brand, it's been very helpful. But now it's a different ball game. So it's time to change up the tactics. We need to focus on either whatever we didn't get to do in the beginning or just completely changing the strategy. But the one great thing about it is that with the main campaigns out of the way, congratulations to the winners. Mr. Tijerina and Victor for their wins, and unfortunately, there could only be one winner. But now we have a lot of support coming from people who were solely focused on those campaigns, on not necessarily their campaigns, but the campaigns that they wanted to focus on. And now we have a lot of support coming from other people.
What did you learn from your experience? Because you had never run before.
You learn a lot. You learn quick. You hit the ground running, and you have to keep going. But more than anything, you need to be prepared. You need to be physically, mentally, and financially prepared, for one thing. So I did very well, physically and mentally. Financially, I don't have deep pockets. I don't have a big backing from any other politician. I ran solely on my own with my family and friends, and I want to thank them for all the support they gave me. And I want to thank the people who have come on board with us now, from all the different races who have expressed their belief in me and my campaign and what I want to do and what I want to do for the people of Webb County. So it's great. It's great. It was a good experience, even if whatever happens, it was a good experience.
You're when all the elections started and people's names started coming up of age, and people start asking questions. Well, who is he? He's a young man that's coming of age. He has an accounting background. Mm-hmm. He works for the city. And then they look at some of the other ones. Some people were against certain people due to what X reason. Mm-hmm. Okay, but each one of the candidates had their own positives. Okay, but unfortunately, not everybody can win.
Sure.
With having so many candidates in one race, the odds for you being in a runoff are higher.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
And that's what happened with you. Now you're going up against a public figure. Mm-hmm. A person that has been a municipal court judge who's now running for tax assessor of Webb County. She's a person that is she's liked by many people.
Sure.
She's a good person if you want to look at it that way. So it's going to be, what are the differences? Because she's an attorney and you're an accountant. Tell us what Lacho brings to the table in comparison.
Well, there's a lot that I can bring to the table. Number one, I'm not going to owe anybody anything. Like I said before, I don't belong to any other, I don't have ties to any other politicians that I would have to, satisfy their needs or whatever, their wants. So that's a plus for me. I do have 2 degrees, a bachelor's and a master's. I know she's got 2 degrees too, and that's fine. My degrees are solely focused on accounting, numbers, business, tax, which is part of an accountant's curriculum, of course. And so, you know, might there be some law? Sure, there might be some law. It's not open to interpretation. Tax law is tax law. It's the way it's written, you know, especially specifically in this position. Not so much when you're a tax attorney, right? That would be an entirely different ball game. You know, that might be something, you know, if it was a tax attorney running for this position, that might be something different, something to really look at. But we're going from an attorney who has never practiced law and says that they have that you know, that background, but they've never practiced. So I mean, I'm not really sure how to take that. You know, I believe their previous position was in the law library, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know where the background was in practicing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, she didn't practice. She didn't practice on her own, or like
at all, really. You know, from my understanding, is she went from you know, receiving her education, working as the law librarian, and then went on to run for municipal court judge.
Yeah, because if you're a municipal judge, you'll be practicing law. So she's been practicing law for the last 8 years.
Well, not trying cases though.
Okay, so she did practice on her own.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have her own law practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and no, not trying cases, which would be I guess that's what the majority of the people have been.
But she is a doctor of jurisprudence.
Yes.
So, you know,
yes.
so she has that behind her. And as a judge now in municipal court, before a municipal court judge, you did not have to be an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have have to be an attorney. She's the first one that has that ran with those requirements.
Yeah, sure.
And from now on, after she leaves, you have others that have to be an attorney.
Sure.
And you have a lot of good attorneys out there.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, no doubt. There's a bunch of great attorneys in our community. I mean,
so I don't know who's going to fill in her shoes, because I think she's termed out.
Yes, she is.
Right.
Yes, she is.
Now, what your experience right now? You're working in the city.
Yes, yeah.
What's your capacity? What's your obligations towards the city of Laredo?
Well, I work with the constituents' money. You know, I see what's being requested here and there, how much money we're spending, keeping tabs on contracts, keeping tabs on the purchases, what vendors, you know, getting a fair chance to, you know, get business from the city. You know, and everybody deserves a fair shot. So that's what we do in that office. We make sure that, you know, I make sure that people are getting a fair shot at city business, you know, because like I've said before, everybody deserves a piece of the pie, and there's a lot of pie out there, you know. There's a lot of pie out there. So I mean, right now I am taking care of the people's money as best as possible within the capacity of that job, of that position that I have. And it's going to be the same thing here. If I do get elected, I would be doing the same thing, you know, taking care of the people's money as responsibly as possible, because that's what I dedicated my life to, is, you know, numbers, business, accounting. What we're called is, you know, bean counters.
Sure.
So
now, you know, Ms. Barrera, she was there for a good portion.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I think 20-something years.
20-something years, okay? So she brought that office to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that efficiency of how it was run,
mm-hmm. Sure.
Especially in some of the postings that they were posting in the last couple of weeks, that you had long lines and
sure.
Just havoc was running everywhere. Are you going to go in there, if you win, and bring it back to that type of customer service that she had, or what are your plans for that?
Well, the customer service is, like I've said, you're going to get it, you know, in any place that you go to. But, yes, we do need to revamp the office, I guess, back to its state of, you know, customer service that it was before, so that we can, you know, keep those people moving in those lines. But we also have to find a better solution to where what is happening now won't happen again, regardless of whether there's a captain at the ship or not. You know, right now there's an appointed captain. You know, I cannot speak to her capacity, you know, because she went from doing one type of tax collection in her previous position to something else, right? This is a little bit different. So there's a learning curve. And so maybe that's an issue there. I mean, I can't speak, you know, for her at that point. You know, I have spoken to her, and she seems very knowledgeable, but you know,
there's a difference between being very knowledgeable and having a field.
Yeah.
But managing a department and managing employees and making them being efficient, there's a total different, how can I say, it's a different ball game. You know, you can be the best knowledgeable in your area.
Sure.
You can have the most degrees here, but if you're not you don't know how to manage people and manage employees to move and become efficient,
yeah,
everything will go down.
Well,
are you that type of person? Are you a person that can go in there and talk to the employees?
Oh yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. I mean, the one thing, office work and management, while they do go hand in hand, they are not entirely the same. You know, some people can't do office work. Some people can't manage. Some people can. Some people can do both. I feel that I have done it before. You know, I have done it in my previous positions. I worked my way up from an office employee to management, and it worked out very well for me. You know, it gave me a lot of leeway to continue my education, pay for my education, and end up with, you know, my degrees. You know, I'm very blessed to have had the experiences that I've had, to have the background that I have, and aside from that, you know, in running, to have never ran before, never have thrown my name out there. While it is not entirely management, I have managed to bring some people together behind me, you know, and so likability is a thing in management. Like your employees should not fear you. They should love you and respect you, and look up to you, you know, because the mark of a true leader is to create more leaders. And so you do that by setting the example, not by telling them what to do, you know. So I can go in there and set the example for them, and, you know, let them see that I'm going to be there for them, but I would expect for them to, you know, do their jobs and work and keep the office running the way it should be running.
Mm-hmm. You know, I had a student in Dallas, and they used to manufacture parts for cars,
mm-hmm.
but they would sell them. They weren't from the dealer. They were parts that were given to them to build for certain,
like custom.
No, manufacture certain that the dealers weren't making anymore. Certain parts, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, older model vehicles. Okay, and they had their company in Grand Prairie, Texas. And he used to come out there, and actually his name was Fred.
Mm-hmm. And
Fred would come in there, and, you know, we were talking about, and he says, you know, one thing you have to realize that you have to get, there's a difference between worker and non-workers.
Mm-hmm.
And both are employees. You're going to have employees that won't work, and you're going to have employees that work.
Sure.
And then the workers are divided into two types. The one that's an aggressive worker, and then you have the lazy worker.
Mm-hmm.
You never put the aggressive worker to build something new, like a new idea. You always put the lazy one there. You put it to do the hardest job.
Mm-hmm.
And I can turn around and I said, why? He
And
goes, because the lazy worker is going to find out the easiest way to do it.
Yep.
And everybody else. And I
think,
told, you know, and he would always say that, you know,
yeah.
and is that something that you're going to use in this department?
Well, I think I've heard that saying before. I think it was Bill Gates.
No, this was, name was Fred that used it. Maybe Bill Gates.
No, I think I read it from Bill Gates, and I was like, that's an interesting point of view. Yeah, yeah. Because you know, people who, well, then you also have the different employees. You have your laborers, and then you have your the ones that work with their mind. So it's again entirely different workers. So yeah, I mean maybe
because you have all kinds.
Yeah.
And in the county you have all kinds.
Yeah.
And it was
we have all kinds everywhere.
And it was sad for me to see all these videos that they were posting up on, especially on Facebook, that you never saw before, the long lines and people complaining.
Yeah.
And you didn't see that. So I didn't know whether if it was something that was being used to belittle Miss Farborough, or was something that people were really actually concerned about. And to me, that kind of stuck in there, because you have something that was a well-run machine.
Yeah, sure.
Because you used to go in there, and guess what? You got in there and you got out of there.
Yeah.
Yes, there were lines and you would wait, but it was done. Quickly.
Maybe could be a little bit of both, right? It might be something that they're using to belittle, or maybe some people were actually having problems. But I would revert back to the learning curve. She was pretty much thrust into an office and told, "Here you go. You've done it before. Do it again." But with a little bit of a difference. So there's a learning curve. There would be a learning curve for anybody who's jumping into that office who hasn't done it, including myself and Ms. Cuellar,
Sure.
So,
are you going to be one of these types of public officials that goes inside and all of a sudden kicks everybody out and hires everybody?
Oh no. That would not benefit me at all, because I'd be losing people who know what they're doing. I'm actually surprised that as many people stayed there. Usually in political office, you tend to see the employees leave with their person, their boss. They'll follow them to whatever office they go to. So I'm surprised that there are still that many people there. But no, I have no intention of getting rid of anybody. I would need them to continue the office running as smoothly as possible, that I can make it run, and I don't plan on getting rid of anybody there.
And yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. And it shouldn't happen, but we see that happening a lot.
Yeah,
and it's sad. It saddens me, because you see a new person comes in, all of a sudden kicks everybody out and puts new one in there. You're like,
no, is it as it is with the platform that I'm offering? With the satellite offices and more automated interaction, apps, all that stuff. I would hope that it might create more jobs. There's a lot of people that graduate and then there's no jobs for them. There's a lot of people that right now are looking for jobs. There's a lot of people that commute from Laredo to like Cotula or Pearsall or wherever they commute to go look for a job, or because they have a job over there, and it's a really long drive.
No, you're absolutely correct. We're losing we're losing our Laredoans because they cannot find jobs in Laredo.
Yeah,
that is a sad case.
It is.
We have young kids that are going to college here, they're coming out and they can't find a job.
Yeah,
and it's sad. So we're losing them. That we know what's going on.
And it might not create a lot of jobs, but 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs is a job. Helps them pay for school, for gas money, for whatever. Maybe there's somebody at home who might want to get back into the workforce. Like, hey, there's a position here, part-time, full-time, whatever. It depends on what we're able to do once we're in office.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely correct. Now, did you all have any debates?
We did have 2 or 3. I can't remember. Definitely 2 that I remember, which was the first one with the Kiwanis Club. I want to thank them for having that. But that time, it was just myself and Ms. Farbo that showed up. The third one, if we did, I can't remember. The second one, I can't remember if we did or didn't have one. And then the final one, which was like 2 days before the end of early voting, was held by TAMIU. I want to thank them for that too. The Student Government Association. At that point, it was myself, Ms. Farbo, and Ms. Cuellar. So we were all present except for one other candidate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So people already know basically both platforms.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if anybody else offered up a platform as far as progressing the office. I know that, I mean, everybody had their, you know, continuing this or doing that, but I mean, I'm a very progressive person, and I always think, you know, this is where we're at, and this is where we could be. And even when I get to that point, I'm like, well, there's still a little bit more that we can do. So I'm always looking to make things better, easier. It's just how I am, you know. I see a problem, I need to fix it. I see a system, can we make it better, you know. Sometimes you just can't, but I'm always looking to progress things, to make things better, easier, faster, as much as possible. Mm-hmm. You know, like the automation of the office, as you know, the apps. Right now, you said, you know, long lines. Let's just cut the line out completely. You know, people are mobile, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. People are mobile. Everybody's got a smartphone. You know, application there, boom, pay your taxes. Your statements are there. Want to renew your stickers or whatever, you know, upload your documents. Okay, everything looks good. This guy's ready. Comes in, makes his payment there, comes in, picks up his stuff, and he's out the door. You know, 5 minutes or less. As much as possible, right? We need to do as much as possible to make things as simple and as quick as possible.
Sure. So that's basic. What? Okay, now let's go back to the campaign. Mm-hmm. What are you going to try to do now that you did not do in the early part? What difference? You know, because people, you know, Facebook, and I saw a lot of your comments, and I saw a lot of your followers, and I saw everybody, and people were very pleased with you. Mm-hmm. You were a very, likable person. Yeah. Happy-go-lucky, and you had a lot of people that were following you. Yeah. You had a lot of people that were, you know, that basically, you know, from just jumping on board. Yeah. People liked you. I mean, this is a big step.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like I said. I mean, I was pretty much the last one to jump in, element of surprise. You know, oh boom, here's this new guy. You know, and it worked out well enough to get us into a runoff. But now we're here. The name is there. And now we just need to get a little bit more aggressive with our strategy. You know, we really need to reach out even more so. And like I said, now that we have more support, I think we can do that now. There's a lot of people that I'm very grateful for them to come on board. You know, I know, like I said, they were focused on their main race. Sure. Not
their main candidate.
Their main candidate, yes, their main candidate. Because I'm not with, you know, I ran by myself. I didn't have anybody backing me up, and except people, just normal people. And so now that they're done with that, you know, we have them to help us, and I'm really grateful for it, you know. So we're gonna use this extra manpower to really push things up a notch. I'm going to go knock on some more doors in more areas, reach out to more people, get some more branding and advertising done, but direct, you know, to be more aggressive with that strategy. Because we still had, like, we were a small team with a small budget, and we still made it into the runoff.
Sure.
First timer, small budget, small team, made it to the runoff.
What were the demographics? Were you more popular with the younger crowd, the older crowd, middle crowd?
It's kind of difficult to really gauge that. I would have to say it was very mixed, but what I can say about that was that because, you know, I had senoras, you know, lacho, you know, they just liked the name or whatever, or whatever they liked. And there were some people, of course, that have known me for years. There were some people who I just met. But I'll tell you this. There were some people who had never voted in their entire life until I came on board.
Sure.
And that is because they have either met me right now or have known me for a long time, but they've never voted. They are from the younger crowd, you know. And so that says a lot. You know, had I had more time, more budget, maybe more people, maybe I could have accomplished a lot more. But to be able to bring out new voters, that says a lot too.
Sure. This election was very poor in the turnout. You know,
Yes.
we had 21%, 22%, something of that nature, and it is very, very low.
Sure.
Webb County needs to bring out their voters.
Yeah.
And in a runoff, it's going to be very, very unlikely, very difficult that people are going to go out there and vote. A lot of the folks that I would talk to, you're going to go out and vote, and they would say the same thing. It's always the same thing over and over. It's always the same thing. Why vote?
Well, that's
already,
yeah.
So they will talk about issues that there was voter fraud and stuff like that. And I was like, well, who knows? But, for something like that to occur, it can. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm saying that it can. But people in Laredo and in Webb County are very much displeased with the electoral process that we have here. And people are not voting.
See, to really make a comment on that would be a little bit difficult, because we would have to look at our past of our elections, candidates, policies, etc. I mean, if the people are that tired of what they're seeing,
they should go out there and vote.
They should go out there and vote. But more importantly, vote for something new.
Well, of course.
If the people are already tired of seeing what they're seeing, they're tired of seeing the same thing in their politics, in their county, in their city, in their everything. If they want to make that change for this upcoming year and the years to come, then they need to really step up, come out, and cast that vote, because vote really does matter for whatever it is. Some of the other candidates in the other races would not have won had they not had those 10, 20, 30, 100 or 100 or 200 votes. Those votes do matter. So, I mean, we really need to reach out to everybody, because every vote matters. Not everyone does vote, but every vote does matter. The people want that change. They need to be that change. I want that change, which is one of the reasons I ran. Everybody says things are the same. We don't see this, we don't see that. Well, then be it. Which is, and I was one of those people too. I would say, oh, I don't see this, I don't see that. Well, what am I going to do about it?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to run.
You have to step up.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. You stood up there and you went up against several political machines.
Yeah,
and you
sure.
came out.
Yeah.
And now you're up against another political machine.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
and she has name recognition. And I'm not, she has a lot of backing behind her.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And that's going to be a little bit difficult. So your personality, and you have to go out there and buy the people to go out. And it's actually who brings out the most votes.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, I need to go and pretty much market myself, sell myself to the people, let them, I don't really want to say sell myself, but I need to let them know who I am, because, you said it earlier, I'm likable, and I hope the people do see that. I hope they do think that way.
You saw a lot of commotion because you had this election, not only yours, the other candidates. You had that week, 2 weeks in February.
Sure,
there's a lot of events going on.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Now you're talking March, just spring break.
Yeah.
Next week it's spring break again.
Here.
So all of a sudden we're in April.
Well, see, that was. I mean, while those events were great for networking and meeting people, they do take up time.
Sure.
So there was not as much time with a small team to do as much as we could have done. Now we have, like I said, we have a little bit more people helping us, and now we have a little bit more time. Mm-hmm. So now we can push to do those things that we couldn't do in the beginning. Did we block walk? Sure, we block walk. We block walked as much as we could. Now we can do some more. Now we can have people out there helping us market. So we do have a lot more help now, and it's gonna be great. I think we're gonna do very well. I'm really positive about it. Like I said, a lot of people were focused on their candidate, and now they have more free time.
Sure.
More free time, so it's gonna be good, you know. And as far as the numbers go, you know, the name recognition is there. Yes, she does have it. She is a seasoned politician. She does have a backing of some other politicos or whatever. But 51% was for change. You know, 51% of the population wants change. There were too many people to vote for, but 51% of the people decided that they wanted something different. And so now we need to unify that.
I see that rationale, you know. Number one, this is an open position. She's coming out, and the people are saying, oh, she already had her shots. Let's give it to somebody else. Yeah. I see that rationale. And even though, how can I put it? This is a totally new position, so it was sure. Everybody. But she does have that from her that she's already been in public office.
Sure, of course. So, of course. But we'd start getting into.
But that 51% means that 51% was divided amongst people that were. How can I put it? How much did Ms. Faribault bring up?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you get down to the numbers, yeah, it was split. The change was split between three different candidates. So that it is a little bit difficult to maneuver, but all in all, I mean, that change is still being requested, being wanted by the people. So, I mean, all we can do is reach out to as many people as we can, and hopefully that we get the same result. That change, right? That change that people so much desire. And it can be done.
No, it can be done. It can be done. It can be done. And it's a total new ball game.
Yeah, sure.
You have to forget the last one.
Yeah.
You're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
It's a total new election.
Yeah.
You can't say the last one it's a total new election.
Yeah, exactly. Like this.
And you have to do everything again in this short period of time.
Yeah.
So when is the election? March? Is it in April or in May?
No, it's in May. The early voting starts May 14th.
Okay.
And then the actual election day is May 22nd.
Okay.
The following Tuesday.
Remember that, folks. Election day is May 22nd.
Yes.
And early vote is from the 14th to the.
Not really.
It's a week long, so
yeah, it starts on the 14th Monday
to the 18th or something to that effect. No?
Yeah.
18th or 19th.
Yeah, it's a 1 week of early voting starting on May 14th, and the following week is election day, May 22nd.
Any words you'd like to tell the community?
Just that if you are watching and you are listening, and you are some of those people who really want to see that change, please come out, cast your vote, tell your friends, tell your family. You know, every vote counts. It is important. You know, at the end of the day, I know everybody feels like, you know, their politicians either don't listen to them or that too many things get in the way. But at the end of the day, it's you guys, the people, the voters who decide what happens. I mean, you could just as easily get rid of any politician as quickly as you put them in. The issue is the effort that you're willing to put into it, right? And so if you guys are really wanting that change, then please put that effort into it. Come out, cast your vote, and if you like what I'm about, if you like my platform, you know, making things easier for you guys, automating the office, basically cutting the lines out, having everybody online instead of in line, you know, then please vote for me. You know, I'm going to do as much as I can for the people, because that's who I am. I'm one of the people.
Excellent. Folks, one more time. Election is May 22nd. Go out and cast your vote. Exercise your right to vote. this past election was the lowest election in the last 2 decades. So you need to come out and vote in order to change certain things that you are not pleased with. If you do not vote, you cannot complain. And this, you have an excellent individual that's running. Vote for him if you wish. If you wish to vote for Judge Cuellar, vote for the judge as you wish, but exercise your vote too. Okay? That's something that's not being done. And once more, you be safe on the spring break out there. There's a lot of kids running around.
Yes.
Don't text and drive. Be safe. Sunscreen. Okay? And once more, thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
We're wishing you the best.
Thank you.
And the main thing about these elections is you get to meet new people.
Yes.
And you make new friends.
Yes.
And the community of Webb County gets closer and closer, and people do not understand that.
Yes.
Once more, until next time, we'll see you here in Peace.